Let's move on to another asset that's very troublesome, and that's the pension plan. So if you have a U.S. pension plan, because a lot of people may have those once they've been here, a U.S. pension plan, that will be with a U.S. administrator, and they will permit you to called pay as you go if you're a covered expat. If you file the proper paperwork with the U.S. administrator and tell them, hey, I'm a covered expat, here's this form W8CE, I've got to tell you to withhold 30% of whatever you're going to pay out to me. So you will, as a covered expat, be punished and always have to pay 30% tax on the distribution from that U.S. pension plan, provided you've sent the U.S. administrator the proper documents, etc. If you have a foreign pension plan, that will not work for you. You are deemed to have received the full value of your foreign pension plan, and you have to pay tax on that as if you got it. So, they're going to look at valuation principles maybe under actuarial tables or depending on the terms of the plan, what it says. But you're going to be deemed to have some present value and paid out to you, and you will have to pay tax because you'll be forced to include that amount in your income. Well, you're not going to have the cash for that.
And you simply cannot access some of these before a certain age.
Correct.
No penalty, no nothing.
Correct.
You're just not getting the money.
I know. And I don't know what happens. Of course, it depends on the terms of the plan. But let's just say you're a covered expat and they figure out the actuarial value and you have to include $1 million in your income and pay the exit tax on that. It's going to be taxed at the 37%, assuming you're up there, which you will be. So what happens if 2 years later, God forbid, you passed away? What happens to the pension? Like, does your estate get it? Do you completely lose it? It's going to depend on what the plan says. But it's too late. You've already paid.
If you're going through this and you're subject to the exit tax, have you, by definition, already left the US?
Well, if you're giving up your green card, yes, you'll be out of the U.S., you'll have surrendered the green card abroad, and that will be your expatriation date, okay? If you're a citizen and you've given up your citizenship, for sure you'll be out of the U.S. Physically, you will be out.
Virginia, what we're referring to here is a phantom tax, right? So no assets are sold. It's a paper exercise that mark to market that hurts you an awful lot. But you're deemed to have sold your real estate, you're deemed to have liquidated your pensions, even though you haven't, even if you can't access them. Now, at this point, you've left the US. You're probably a tax resident of another country.
That's right.
So you're in the UK and you haven't sold any of these assets, you haven't done any prior planning, you haven't been able to access them. You get hit with a 24% tax upon exit, a phantom tax for the capital gains. You get hit with up to 37% on the deemed distribution of your retirement accounts. But all those accounts remain intact because you can't access them and you haven't sold the property.
Correct.
5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, down the line, as a resident of the UK or wherever, Canada, wherever, you decide to access your pension, you decide to sell your property, you're going to pay local tax. So you're going to pay UK capital gains tax on the sale of that property. You're going to pay Canadian capital gains tax on the sale of that property. You're going to pay UK income tax on your pension distributions and your retirement account distributions at up to 45%. And because the US exit tax was a phantom tax, am I right in thinking you're not going to get any relief under the treaty for that, as far as I'm aware?
Correct. As far as I'm aware, you get nothing.
This means like distributions on pensions are going to get effectively taxed at like 70, 80%.
It's horrible. Foreign pensions, that's why they're called the spawn of Satan. I mean, they're really bad news.
Do you think my logic follows there? Is that I've arrived at a place where,
No, you've got it right.
oh my
Unfortunately,
gosh.
you have it right.
And
So what people need to do really is see what kind of planning is possible to at least try and make me not a covered expat. Okay, because then you avoid all of these problems. All right. And many times with proper planning, you can escape that. But if you don't do any planning, forget about it. It's very easy to get to a $2 million net worth.
Virginia, what if I'm one of those people who listens to this and thinks, I've got a green card sat in the car, in the drawer, I'm worth over 2 million, I've got retirement accounts, I've left, I can't do any planning. You can come into compliance, but is there a way you're still going to be subject to the exit tax?
Coming into compliance, you can still do planning because you haven't officially given up the green card.
Okay.
Okay, you've left, but as far as the U.S. is concerned, you're still on the tax hook. So you can come into compliance and in the meantime be doing the planning.
Okay.
Yes, it's not because you physically left that you're in trouble.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's a
Now,
a
where you
glimmer of
might
light.
have a problem, and this is an important point for those people that have it in the drawer. Let's say they need to come back to the U.S. They're going to have a business meeting or something, a wedding, whatever it is. Oh, great! I still have my green card. Maybe I can get in. And the green card, they're looking at it when you come in, and they say, "Wait a minute, this is expired," or you haven't been here, even though, it hasn't technically expired. You haven't been here because we see in our records you haven't come for 3 years or 5 years or whatever it is. And they argue with you and say you are no longer entitled to the green card. So they want to take it from you at the airport. What do we do when they want to take it from you at the airport and they sound very threatening and overbearing? Most people cave into that. And it's like, okay, what do you want me to do? And they say, well, here's this form I-407. Just sign this saying you're voluntarily giving up your green card and no problems. We'll let you in as a visitor or whatever. They make it sound rosy and nice. So the people sign the I-407 at the border, at the airport, and give up the green card. Well, now they've expatriated from a tax perspective.
Done. Over.
So
no
you
planning.
have to be...
That's your date. Or the date before. Done.
That's
and
it.
consequences
You're done.
be damned. You just got to deal with them. Yikes.
So the person that's in that position, first of all, he shouldn't be going to the U.S. without understanding he has this potential problem. But if it happens, don't sign at the border and say, I'm entitled to a hearing before an administrative law judge to determine if I have given up or not. And they will set a date for the hearing. And then that person can at least contact me or some tax advisor and get help to come into compliance, to fix their mess, to get under the 2 million net worth, whatever it is, to try and mitigate. Because when he goes before the administrative law judge, they may say, oh, you know what? You did give up. You've abandoned it. So when they sign the order that he's, administratively determined to have given up the green card,